As you can see here, like I'm doing like no damage at all, and then you just swap to your claymore and then you just wreck these nodes. So good morning, guys. This is Alex from the Casuals, and today we're going to be playing Genshin Impact, and we're going to give you guys a guide on Noelle. Now, Noelle is a maid. She is in service of the Knights of Favonius in Genshin Impact. She's a great sword user. She's also a Geo-based character, and she really focuses around being a tank and providing support to your other characters. Now for her talents, she uses a normal great sword, which is great, by the way, to destroy minerals, and she does a good amount of damage against shields and geo stuff. Also, whenever you can do 4 normal attacks, or you can actually hold your charge attack to do a whirlwind, which is pretty interesting if you have like a high density of enemies around you, and you can actually move the direction that you're going to. Now, my favorite talent from Noelle is called Breastplate. It's basically you put yourself a shield on yourself, a Geo shield, that's also going to damage nearby enemies whenever you cast it. And this shield is basically based on your defense. It scales with your defense. And if you swap to a different character, this shield is also going to swap to that new character. So it can be especially useful if your Noelle is not that super high level and you just want to use her as a support character. And the shield also applies the Geo element to the character, so that can also be useful in terms of combat tactics. And the shield is also going to absorb geo damage much more effectively than other types of damage. Also, if you're using Noelle and this shield is up, you're going to have a 50% chance to trigger healing onto the rest of your party, and the healing is based on Noelle's defense, so that's why this character you really want to build her defense stats as much as possible. Now, one of the other abilities that make Noelle really great as a support character is Devotion. Basically, whenever you're going to use any character but Noelle's still going to be in the party, just not fighting, if one of your characters go below 30% hit points, he's going to receive a shield that's going to last 20 seconds, and that's going to absorb 400% of Noelle's basically defense in terms of hit points. So this is like a last protection type of thing, like giving you that last edge that you're going to need to finish that encounter. Now for her ultimate, Sweeping Time is basically going to make her sword has a much wider reach. It's going to AoE a lot with your cleaves, and it's going to convert your damage to Geo, and also this ability stacks with your defense. Now, as I was mentioning, if I go near an enemy and I pop my shield, it did a small amount of damage, and then I can actually cleave a little bit. Now obviously my Noelle is not as strong as my other characters, but she can still hold her ground. I think she's level 30. And also Claymore users can really help a bit against especially Geo type of shields. Once you're going to fight an enemy that has like a Geo shield, you're going to notice that it's going to do a decent amount of damage to it. While wooden shield are more vulnerable to fire-based attacks. So as you can see, if I swap character and I apply my shield, it also applies. So this is really cool. It's perfect. So this character is going to benefit from like absorbing more damage. And as you already know, like most of the time, I tend to really swap to my main character as often as possible, mainly because he's the strongest one in my group. So I want him to benefit the most from whatever supporting ability that I have in my team. Now, as already mentioned, Noelle uses greatsword weapons. So whenever you find a good 4-star weapon or even a 5-star weapon, make sure to upgrade as much as possible. In my case, it's level 36. Can't quite reach the second ascension yet. I'm out of materials, unfortunately, but it's definitely going to have a big impact on her damage, obviously. And also, whenever you're going to find these really rough materials, it's going to be useful to break them. Now for Noelle's artifacts, the only set early game that I really recommend is Lucky Dog, because it gives increase your defense by 100. And as we already mentioned, Noelle has a lot of abilities that benefit from defense increase. So this is a must-have early on. And for the second set, it's going to have to wait a bit longer in the game. But if you want to play a more offensive role, in my case, I went with Instructor to increase the elemental mastery of her Geo damage. Now in my case, miNoelle does not really serve a really super active role right now because she's just not geared enough. She has a blue feather, which still increases her damage by a decent amount, but this feather also increases defense, and it's why it shows this specific feather. But generally speaking, on your items, try to prioritize as much as possible defense, base defense, bonus to whatever that's going to increase or your overall defense statistic is what you should be aiming for. Now for Noelle's Constellation, personally I'm not a big fan of her Constellation. I don't like them that much as it kind of makes the character into two different type of roles. But for the first one, I Got Your Back is going to make that while you're using sweeping time and breastplate at the same time, that your healing effect is going to trigger 100%. So basically for a small duration, basically the duration of your ult, you're going to heal a bit more. So it does add some sustain to this character, but it's not the exact role that I want. I was more hoping towards like a damage reduction type of thing than sustain type of thing. Now for our second constellation, Made of Whirlwinds, it decreases stamina consumption whenever you do your whirlwind attack, which is your charge attack, by 20%, and increase your damage by 15%. So again, this is more like a DPS role, and this character is not really DPS oriented all that much. For Invulnerable Made, it just increased the level of breastplate by 3, just like any third constellation for any character. For To Be Clean, the breastplate duration when it expires is going to do 400% damage on the explosion. This again is oriented toward damage, and personally, if I want damage, I'm not going to go over to Noelle. I'm going to go pick a different character. I don't like this constellation. For Favonius Sweeper Master, it increased the level of the sweeping time, so your ultimate by 3, so that's pretty standard stuff. And then again, I don't like this one either. The only one that I would like, I mean, it's probably the one that increased the level of breastplate, and possibly the first one for the sustain. And the last one is Must Be Spotless. Sweeping time increased Noelle's attack by an additional 20% of her defense. Again, another offensive thing on a character that should play more like a tank slash support role in my opinion, so I'm not really fond of her constellation. Additionally, every time you defeat an enemy, the skill duration is going to add by 1 second. So I guess what they're going for here is that once you have all the constellation, which is going to take forever by the way, you're going to be able to maintain your ult longer, so hopefully it's going to mean that you're going to be able to sustain for longer periods of time when you have breastplate up at the same time as your ultimate. So in my case, I'm not going to really use Noelle all that much. Her main purpose for me, unless I'm going to need like a specific geo counter or something like that, is going to be to destroy these ores, since they do take forever to destroy if you're not using a claymore character. As you can see here, like I'm doing like no damage at all, and then you just swap to your claymore and then you just wreck these nodes. So it's really useful whenever you're gonna go mineral hunting for crafting purposes. Alright guys, this covered this guide. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to post in the comments. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video and found it useful, and if you did, please consider leaving a like, subscribing, and joining our Discord. The link's going to be in the description box, guys. Thank you.
I'll catch up.
I'll catch up. Ooh, hello.